Hello, I am so excited to be here with you celebrating over 50 years of ministry at Camp Tadmor. My name is Steph Winningham, and I first started my journey with Camp Tadmor about 30 years ago. It was the early 90s, and I was a 10-year-old coming to camp for the first time, and I was so excited. And I had an adorable little white jumpsuit on. I don't know why my mom let me come to camp in a white jumpsuit. I was over on the fishing dock and I fell in, as I was so excited to just see the lake. And I fell into a really muddy spot. And that was my first 10 minutes at Camp Tadmor. And I was so mortified that I ran back to my cabin, saying the whole time that I would never return to Camp Tadmor. God had a little bit of a different plan for me. Later that very week, I was out at free time and I came to this swing, and I remember seeing it and it just beckoned to me, and I can't really explain why in the mind of a 10-year-old, but normally for anyone who knows me outside of this, I'm a really outgoing person, but for some reason I just wanted some solitude, and I didn't know that God was beckoning to me in a way that would transform the rest of my life. I was sitting here on this swing just thinking about the kind of person that I wanted to be and how I wanted to please everyone all the time. And this was the first place I had the realization that God didn't desire my piety and my failed attempts at perfection, but He wanted me. Steph, who falls in the water in her first 10 minutes at Tadmor, He wanted a relationship with me. And the next 5 summers I came as a camper, and I soaked in every moment of learning who God is, of Jesus' great love for me. And I grew up in a family where I was blessed to know that from a very young age, but there was something about the connection that we have in nature, the way that God reveals Himself to us through His creation, that I really resonated with. And 5 years later, then I became a staff member at Tadmor, and those were the years that absolutely transformed my life. My faith really started to become my own. I think that's something so beautiful when you come as a teenager and you're in these really formative years and you're trying to figure out who is God and what does my life supposed to look like as I long to love Him. And Tadmor was one of the first places I really learned how to start to live that out and really start to see who I was. So it was the late 90s, and we were having if you can think back to the golden ages of your youth and your childhood, the late 90s up here at Tadmor were some of the best friendships, some of the most intense moments. And I think that could be, when you're a teenager, things are really intense and you do things you probably wouldn't do in your sane life later. God was so gracious. On this very swing, I was meditating on a scripture as a staffer that I had never really taken the time to really dive into. And for a really long story short, I was adopted. God is so gracious that my twin sister and I were adopted into a family who loves Him. And our whole life, we have gotten to know about the love of Jesus. But as I was sitting here, there was a verse that struck me because it starts out, from the ends of the earth I have called you. And I'm like, wait, that's like me, because I came from really far away in my mind. We're actually from Palestine, and so as we learn, from the edges of the earth I have called you, I have chosen you, and I have not rejected you. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And this is the place where I got to first, where God really started to reveal what that scripture meant in my life and to me. And I'll say there's nothing by accident about the time in the ministry, time in ministry spent up here at Tadmor, whether it was a camper where I was learning so many things, and as a staffer. I got to meet my husband. He also worked at Tadmor. We didn't meet here per se. We met at a different camp. That Camp Tadmor actually helped us go out there for a bit to help revamp their program and make it a little bit more like Tadmor. But then we returned here, and what's just incredible is that my first married summer and my son's first 2 summers were out here toddling around in these woods. And it's just so crazy to me that God is so gracious that He would allow my son to come back on staff here this very summer, to where it's coming full circle that he's gonna have the moments, maybe not on this swing, maybe not falling in the lake, but he is going to have moments where God is going to meet him in a fresh and new way because of the faithfulness of God to this place and the people who serve here and the people he's going to get to learn from and the friends he is going to make that are going to last him for his lifetime. I'm just overwhelmed by God's grace and the way that he loves us so well through Camp Tadmor. So as we celebrate 50 years, I just want to thank all of you for your immense love. I am just so excited that I get the chance to watch my son come up here and see Tadmor's vision of strengthening and encouraging the next generation of leaders to love Jesus and to serve well. I'm just so grateful that our family gets to be a part of the story of Tadmor. And the beautiful thing is we are a tiny little bit of the beautiful story of the ministry of this place.